because she is part of the Leonardo Group, which is a group of very smart and brilliant professionals who help us with our activities. But she's also well-known in Italy, expert and professional on social media and marketing. And she helps companies mainly, correct me if I'm wrong, Miriam, helps companies to better get in this, let's say, in this world. We will have a very informal talk today, so about 20 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes. If you ever have any questions, please don't hesitate, and you can either write them on the chat or just get unmuted and ask them. And we will also wanted to tell you that we would like to record this this webinar so that it can be posted in our YouTube channel. And so let's go forward with the first question, Miriam.
Thank you, Erica. Good afternoon to everybody. Nice to see you. See a couple of well-known friends.
Oh, really? Great.
Online. Great. Thanks to Science Gallery for the invitation. I'm really happy and proud to be here today with you.
Thank you. So in the last months, very bizarre months, in fact, the title of your talk is social media marketing in interesting times, which recalls the name of the Biennale that we had last year. But in this last month, we all used and maybe even overused the social media to get info on the COVID virus. And so my question is, from that moment onwards, do you think that what happened and our relationship with social media channels now has changed? So will it go back to how it was before, or we are getting closer in a way to it? We and the companies, of course.
Yeah. Well, the first point is during starting from the beginning of March, social media usage all over Europe and in all the lockdown countries really exploded. We've gone through, social media managers and experts, we've gone through a huge amount of data. At the end of March, Facebook declared that in Italy, for example, they had a plus 1,000% of time usage for group calls.
Wow.
So what happened is that we switched to Facebook Messenger group calls, for example, in order to keep being socializing. That was part of family calls and, well, Zoom that we are using now. Really, they exploded from 300% more. So it has been like not just social media, but there's been a huge jump into digitalization. And social media, they have been a central part of this process. Why? Because we've been stopped in socializing face-to-face. And we needed more information. So we went online and with, let's say, open spaces like Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, or in private one-to-one conversations or group conversations. And yes, this changed our way of staying and having a relationship. There's a Floridi, a philosopher from the Oxford University. He has, well, the on life manifesto goes back to well before the COVID-19 emergency. But what he says is that digitalization is changing our way of behaving in many different ways. And my answer is our new way of using social media has changed forever. We are not using them for the same amount of time today because our habits has changed. In the meantime, we are not locked in at home. We can go out and we start having, even if they call it social distancing, it's not so social. I mean, it's more physical distancing. Yeah. But, so we are trying to socialize physically again. But yes, social media changed our way of getting informed, staying informed, having as well entertainment, because part of what we did was staying entertained, watching videos, watching news, and so yeah. So forever, the amount of time we spend there, yes, it has decreased, but some part of our way of using them will not change, not even if we go back to our previous offline habits.
So on a content standpoint, have you seen a change in the type of content that maybe companies have published on the social media?
Yeah, during the lockdown months, what happened to most of the companies, from fashion to the most hard B2B companies, they've changed their channels of staying in touch with customers, of presenting products, and so on. So yes, the first point is from one day to the other, since the lockdown began, they said, okay, how can we stay in touch with our customers now? And most of them went to social media and tried to stay in touch with them, with their customers, stakeholders, and so on. The most brilliant ones did it not only with a product-oriented perspective, not only with a sales way of interacting, but they really answered to a specific need in that time. Social media is based on people and relationships. So what happened? The most brilliant companies use social media to support customers, to drive information, to drive solutions. And solutions at that point was not only, this is our new product. That was really a bad way of staying in touch. We were not so much interested in products. We were interested in trying to understand connections. So the companies that really use social media in a effective way, most of all during the beginning of the lockdown, are those that use them to tell to their customers and their stakeholders and their community, hey, we are here to support, this is what we are doing to help you stay safe, and what can we do for you? Okay.
And have you seen differences between this trend in Italy and outside Italy? I mean, in Europe or the US, or is it?
Yeah, the difference, talking about Italy, is more based on the level of maturity in using digital touch points. So the main difference has been in the, let's say, in the familiarity with these tools. So a lot of companies, most of all small and medium companies, started to use social media during the lockdown because they were forced to. So the difference is, yes, there are different approaches, and most of all, they are based on the different level of familiarity of the companies, of the people in the companies, because companies are made of people. And so the differences are not based on cultural differences or different approaches, because really everyone who used them properly did it with empathy and with the goal of staying in touch, not selling. It was not a selling moment. Some companies use them more with a selling approach, but because they were new to the medium. And so they didn't know the basic rules of interactions, of social places.
And so when when we were in lockdown, of course, also for us, for Sense Gallery, the exhibition we had on, which was Illusion, which this on my background, virtual background, is
your background is great.
Yes, it's a picture we took with two mediators, and that was the entrance of the exhibition. And of course, the exhibitions, museums, events, everything was stopped. Now, little by little, it's starting to go back again to normal life, although it's not normal. But you also, that you often go, because when one goes to your social channels and can see that you are very often asked to take part to big events where you can testimony and witness your expertise and how to deal with social media on a company, let's say, standpoint. So also those kind of events stopped. So yeah. My question is, do you think that they will go back to normal life as they were before, or many events and many activities will find a new way, a new world in the digital world?
Yeah, what I see here, it's something that is like a deja vu. I've been working in digital since 2000. So at the beginning, it was not even called digital. Yeah. it was web, let's say, or maybe it was at the beginning, very beginning was internet, okay? And then year after year, what we've seen is what usually in marketing we call omni-channel. Okay, so there is not only, let's say for a retail company, there is not only one touch point that in the pre-digital era was the shop, okay, in the main street or in a shopping mall or whatever, but a good customer experience is made of different touch points. One can be the e-commerce of the brand, the other one can be a marketplace, then there is the flagship store, and then much more. And what is going on during the last years is that the global experience has been switched to one touch point or the other based on what is more effective for us, for the customers. I think in events, in the same professional events, and I'm talking about concerts or different huge events where there is a different way of interacting, but in professional events, we will see in a very rapid evolution what we've seen in other different sectors that have been changed by digitalization, transformed by digitalization. We will continue using digital to give, for example, content, training, or one-to-many explanation or interviews or whatever. And we will switch to physical as soon as possible, okay, as soon as it will be possible for the most engaging part. So physical events will be different because we have learned that some things work better online. If I have to travel for 2 hours because I want to listen to a conference and it's 1 hour, okay, of conference, I won't do that anymore, because this month we've learned that it's great if I'm working, I switch on, I listen to 1 hour of a wonderful event and then go back to what I was doing. So what will happen face-to-face, physically, will be even more engaging and even more connected to what can happen only when you put more than, when you put a community in a room. I mean, it's no one knows exactly what is going on, what will happen, but I'm almost sure that it will work as we've already seen it's going to work, because we are driven by efficiency. And if we want to be efficient, we need to drive to digital what works better. Sometimes this will mean reinvent formats. So the next event I will attend to I'm sure it will want to be exactly the same
Hmm.
as before with a digital part. So if you want to attend, you can attend digitally or face to face. No, that's not exactly, that's not digitalization. That's the, it would be a part of it, but it's not the result, the final result. And I'm really curious because
Yeah.
I'm sure that the next physical events will be even more engaging and wonderful and great because they need to be different and give me even a better reason to be there.
Yeah, you're right.
If
This is
not,
a good point.
I switch, I push a
Yeah.
button and I'm online and that's it.
And yeah, on my couch in my house
Yeah.
and watch it. You're right. Um, Before the pandemic, the so different social media were used by different main targets for like professionals, but also on an age standpoint. Have you seen a change in this? So have older people started using it more, or it's always the youngest who use Instagram most of all, Facebook, older people, uh, LinkedIn, mostly professional
Professionals.
point.
Yeah. Yeah. What we've seen is that um, what has really increased is the usage of instant messaging.
Mm.
So WhatsApp in Italy, because it's the most used one, or Facebook Messenger in other countries. That were really, there's been an increase. Another increase in there's been vision social networks. Pinterest, for example, it is not
Mm.
so many, I mean, it's not so well known as the blue family of Facebook and Instagram. They had an incredible increase in searches, plus 60% during the same months, 2020 versus 2019. We have a rising star now, that is TikTok.
Oh, TikTok.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. What we see is what is happening with TikTok is exactly what happened with Instagram, for example. At the beginning, Instagram was for a small community of visual designers, photography lovers, food lovers. So it was really very community oriented with meetups and so on. Then they switched, they've been acquired by Facebook. They switched to a different business model. Well, open to a proper business model based on advertising. And they open up their base, their user base. TikTok is doing exactly the same. They started with a very pre-teenager and teenager user base. And what they're doing now is trying to, involving influencers, for example,
Yeah.
and pushing very hard in PR. So they're really a rising star. And usually these kinds of evolutions hoping to, okay, we want to differentiate our user base age, so not only teenagers, but we are going to 30 years old, maybe up to 45. And yeah, what is happening that we have a rising star here, and that's a great news. And the other difference is that in Italy, but most of all in the US, for example, and in other European countries, Twitter as well had a different trend of growth. Twitter is mainly news, and we know that Donald Trump is a very heavy Twitter user,
Yeah.
and there's an interesting discussion going on. So to have social media to take a, a public position through
Yeah.
with fake news, with hate speech, and so on, and Twitter is doing it. First, they stopped political advertising campaigns, and then they banned, let's say, or marked some tweets from Donald Trump as not correct, let's say,
Yeah.
let's say not verified. Facebook is not taking the same position. Okay, they say we are a platform. We're not taking position. Some top managers from Facebook are leaving as for this specific reason.
For this reason.
Yeah, and some companies are doing the same. And it's very interesting to see how, I mean, it's part of the new marketing, new, let's say, of the last 20 years of marketing. And the point of taking a position as a company, position that is based on values. So the North Face, for example, in Patagonia, well, Patagonia is a long, the apparel brand has a long story in taking a very straight position in environmental issues, for example, but also in many other different social issues. And both Patagonia and the North Face, just yesterday, announced that they are going to stop their advertising on Facebook as a matter of protesting against Facebook not taking a clear approach against hate speech, fake news, and so on.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting
because it's,
very much.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's, I mean, I think it's the good part of being in marketing, because yes, definitely it's having the possibility of changing how these huge social platforms, that they are news platforms, that they are interaction platforms, and they are becoming even more. Okay, so as a company, you can take your position and have your position in the society. And I think this is really, it's a powerful way of being in business.
Yeah. So if there are any questions, you can either unmute yourself or write them in the chat. I have one last question. We're almost in the end of our half an hour with Miriam. Can you tell us about your experience of co-working with people of any kind, if I understood well, that you did in the months before, obviously, before the pandemic? Yeah. You spent like some Fridays with
I'm a huge fan of co-working. I mean, it's a way of sharing knowledge and experiences. So what I invented, I call it the pop-up co-working. So it's Friday once a month, Friday pop-up co-working. Why? Because I really think that real growth is based on different point of views, mixing different point of views. There's a title of a famous book that says the most intelligent person in the room is the room. Okay. Why? Because there's such a high level of complexity in every. I mean, let's not talk about digital. In any area of knowledge, the level of complexity is growing. So if you put more expert minds, different point of views together, that's where you have the better results. And so this is my, let's say, my way of thinking, my belief. And I said, I have a space here in Venice. How can I open it to someone who does something completely different from what I do? Why? Because socialization and vertical knowledge is great, and we have to do it, but it's not enough, in my point of view. And you know what? I also wanted to have fun. Okay. So I launched the Friday pop-up co-working, and once a month I accepted the invitation or invited someone who did something different, really different from what I do. And it has been really, really, really funny and interesting. I've discovered the history of the Orient Express.
Really?
Okay. Yeah, but I didn't know it. It's very, very old. And the Orient Express that we see sometimes at the train station now has been rebuilt. and every coach, some of the coaches were in France in a garden, so it was be really, an interesting project. There's a lot of storytelling behind it.
Mm.
And so, yeah.
It was really, it was fun, and yeah.
Yeah, and I've learned a lot. And in the format, let's say, I want to, what I did and what I want to keep doing is sharing what I know, getting in touch with people that does completely different things from the that I do. So I've invited a designer, and we've talked about design methods, and then I share them on my blog. So
yeah.
if you want to go through it and read it, it's there. It's shared knowledge.
Yes, absolutely. So we have one question from Morena. During the lockdown, many professionals apparently offered a free training course and then used the contacts for a massive email marketing campaign. What do you think? Do you think it was wrong to use this strategy during this difficult and strange moment?
Yeah, what Morena is talking about is what we marketers call lead generation. Okay, usually is giving away free content that can be an ebook on a specific topic, or during the previous month, most of the times were webinars or small online educational events. And the model is I give you something for free, you give me your data back. That is a very well-known model. When it's for free, usually your data, you're paying with your data. And that's how social media work. Facebook is for free for millions of billions of users in the world. What we give back is our data and the possibility of being targeted with advertising. Morena, you ask if it's wrong or if it's right. It depends. The first thing is that it has to be clear that you are giving your data for following marketing activities. And the GDPR, no one reads the GDPR details usually. But the GDPR, if you read, they have to declare it. So we are going to use your data in the following months for marketing activities, newsletters, and so on. And what I think is that if you give a very high quality content, yes, I want to know who is interacting with. Some companies did them definitely open, some others did them with lead generation. It's like you have to decide, you as a user. Okay, as a company, the point is if I give a high value, it's fine for me to ask for data in a clear way. So when you subscribe, you know that you're going to be in a database for following communications and so on. On the other hand, if I share value, why not? I want to be in touch with the people that want that value in the following months.
On GDPR, public bodies, but also companies and everyone actually really had to change the forms of a newsletter subscription or the website. I mean, we spent like 1 year maybe with really massively working on that. My curiosity is, are there have companies been controlled? Are there is it really a risk not to fulfill the
Yeah, it is. There are some cases. The point is, when a company goes through that kind of process and maybe has a fee, no one wants to make it become a big news, okay, on the local newspapers or whatever. But yes, I know it directly from lawyers that work with GDPR. There have been controls, and some companies have been they received the first notice to stand properly in the GDPR rules, and some others got feed. Yeah.
Valentina asked, hello Miriam, I got a new job during pandemic. This is a great news.
Yeah.
It's rare, very rare. Here in Berlin, where I was stopped during the pandemic, but cool. I am in charge of running some EU projects to help companies and mostly freelancers aged 45 to 60 to promote their business through storytelling and digital work. But for them, it's so difficult to understand a world that do not belong to them. How would you describe in few words the world of digital and the scent of social media, according to what that generation can understand? Like I would say Facebook is square for people to speak. YouTube is where your personal TV, and also you can share your favorite movie and so on. Second question, what would you suggest for all new remote workers, pretty enthusiastic of working in pajama, but to work remotely can also be challenging. It's really difficult.
Yeah. It's different, definitely. So as for the first question, I would start with listening. Well, even before, what are the benefits for over 45? I'm over 45, by the way. For over 45
Me too,
people.
on Tuesday. Yeah.
Okay, so almost happy birthday. Yeah, the first is get into their shoes and try to understand why they should be interested in social media. So what are the benefits? Because for me, for example, is staying in touch with local events. I don't know if the same for someone who has never been digital before. Maybe it's more interesting to stay in touch with their families, for example, nephews or sons and daughters and so on. So the first, I would take a designer approach and see what can be of interest on the other side. And then it's testing and seeing the reaction. So it's really a designer's approach, because you maybe prototype a kind of communication or a small project based, for example, on the benefits of staying in touch with communities of interest. Okay, and you start from there, see if it works, and then if it works, go to the next level.
Valentina says that they need to run to better run their business, to improve their business.
Okay. Oh, that's great. So it's showing best practices, finding your evangelists. So there's always someone in the team that is more there's no problem with risks, there's no problem with mistakes. Start with that one, with that he or her or she, and then the others will follow. Usually what I see, and it's also, it happens in companies as well. When I work with managers, there's always someone in the group that is more risk oriented than the others. And yeah, usually it's finding the right evangelist and then showing the results and the examples. And as for the remote workers, okay, one of the things I do, since I do not have enough time, I'm a co-founder of an event that is called Freelance Camp. And every year, once or even more than once a year, we meet up, group of freelancers from all over Italy. And tomorrow morning, we are having the first virtual freelance camp, since it has not been possible to make it in person as we do every year. And most of the freelancers are remote workers. I'm not using the term smart workers because it's different. In Italy, we use smart working, but when we say smart working, usually we talk about remote working. So working remotely, not from the office or from where we usually work from. How to do it is, again, reinventing the model. Is not sitting, well, first is having rules. Okay, rules means, for example, knowing that you start at a certain time of the day, and even if you don't have to run and catch a train at the some point of the day, you have to stop the working experience. If not, it's 24 hours a day, and it's not smart. It's not smart at all, because the result is burnout, and it's, I mean, better performances, worse performances. What else? Yeah, it's having rules, and then understanding. There's a great opportunity based on freedom, because when you work remotely, you know, if you work better in a certain situation, or during the morning, during the afternoon, in a public space. Co-workings, for example, they are set to grow in popularity in the next months, because companies will say, okay, that's great, let's join all in the same office. But that maybe means 1 hour, 1 hour and a half commuting every day. And people have learned that 3 hours every day, it's a huge amount of time. So maybe they will start asking for different solutions, and co-workings are one of these different solutions. For some remote workers, maybe it's not home-based or office-based, but maybe co-working based can be a solution. So really it's finding new rules, and then finding the better way of performing, and tracking how you perform better. Someone works and studies in libraries. I've never studied in libraries, because if I'm in a library, I want to start talking with the people around me. And it's the same for job. I've been working in open spaces for years, but it's really tough. So it's knowing how you perform, finding new rules if you were accustomed to work in office, and find a new way of performing better from remote.
So I don't know if there are any other questions. One last tiny one.
Choose Valentina, and keep me posted on how your project goes in Berlin.
Yeah, co-working space in Venice soon. Let's hope. Yeah. That could be an alternative to go
I wait
back
for
to the
a
office.
to open a co-working.
Yeah.
I'm a long-time project supporter.
Going back to companies, one last question, Miriam. Going back to companies, I asked you before if you saw a difference in handling social media in the pandemic time from Italy, between Italy and the rest, let's say, of the world. But staying in Italy, from one region to the other, I mean, is still there for companies a huge difference between, let's say, the Lombardy region, Veneto region, and the rest of Italy, or is this geography getting more balanced between regions, as far as you've seen?
There's a thing that is. I mean, there is an economic divide. Okay, Google and McKinsey released a research last week, and they've analyzed different areas in Europe, but with a very deep focus, not like main regions, but with the specific districts and so on. And yes, what we see is that Italy has 3 different colors. Okay, and the research is on digitalization and the future of work. Okay, but yes, what we see is that the northern part of Italy, with some regions, Lombardy, most of all, that is going ahead and is going to have a plus in job force. Then there is a medium performers, and then there is the south of Italy that is going to probably, if huge political approach is not, let's say, quickly activated, be even more behind in this evolution. Why? Because there is a different distribution of companies, and there is a different distribution of digital skills. And it hasn't changed during the pandemic. In the south part of the country, there are some excellent companies. I've been talking with a friend of mine. He's a coffee producer from Naples, and it's one of the best practices in digitalization in Italy. But you know, it's like being a wonderful flower in not a desert, but in a very flat area. And that's part of an evolution. You can't have best practices and digital performances if you don't have good performance in companies. Okay.
Of course.
So everything is really connected.
Okay. Thank you, Miriam. Then if there is nothing, there are no more questions. Valentina is very enthusiastic. Yeah, if you want all the attendants to fill in our form, in fact, as we were saying before, this webinar was for free, but we will use your, no, we're joking. But if you want to subscribe to the newsletter or give us feedback on this and all the other webinars, please fill in the form. You can see it in the chat. And so we hope to see you in person, first of all, in one of our activities at Sense Gallery as soon as possible. If not, in the digital world, virtual world, we will hopefully soon build. And thank you very much for your time, and good luck for all your many projects that you have.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Erica. Thank you to Science Gallery. Thank you to all the friends that are connected. And what else? See you soon in Venice or in a digital, but really social dimension.
Yes, of course. We will upload this webinar in our YouTube channel so that everybody will be able to see it also afterwards. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Ciao, Miriam.
Bye. Bye,
A presto.
Bye.
Ciao.